If you've been feeling sad or anxious or depressed, it might not even be your own brain. It might literally be the food and water you are consuming that are making you feel these feelings without your consent. Because I genuinely think the human's baseline is supposed to be happiness and joy and love and peace and stability. I don't think we're supposed to be anxious and depressed. I think that capitalism and the patriarchy have given us zoochosis and forced us into all these roles and stuff like that and made us super unhappy, but I don't think we're supposed to normally naturally feel these feelings. So I want to get into it with you guys. I've got 5 documents with 24 pages worth of data total on them. I'm sorry, I'm also a couple minutes late to the live. I had some issues trying to log in and do this first live with y'all, but now we got that sorted. So hopefully all these lives after that should be just perfect and fine. A-okay, fantastic, 10 out of 10. So the first one is 1 page, and then we've got a 2-pager, and then a 6-pager, a 7-pager, and an 8-pager. And I noticed these have a lot of little, let me show you guys. They have a lot of little sections that are blacked out and like redacted. Some of them, however, have little titles next to them like FOIA whatever, and then a number, or they're just numbers and letters. And I posited in my last live that I did with y'all on the gateway process, I was wondering if those are things we can FOIA log request. Because I've also requested a couple FOIA requests in the past, and I want to get back into that. But doing things like that, we might be able to find out what they're trying to hide behind that, because I've noticed when I was just scanning through a couple of these, there's a lot of pages missing from some of them. So government's still trying to hide some of their declassified stuff, and I think we might be able to get into it if we can figure out the right keywords and the right requests so that we can figure out all of what they're trying to hide from us, because it's super sketchy to me to declassify a document and leave like pages of the document unclassified, like still classified and hidden from the general public. Everything the CIA and FBI does is sketchy as fuck anyways, but let's go ahead and get into it. This first one just says Project Artichoke. And it was really hard to find some of these. I had to go to like the 10th page of Google results in order to get all of these documents, because some of them were that hidden in the like little archives of the CIA stuff. Ow! And also a couple of these were, oh my god, I just hit my knee. Oh, a couple of these were hidden behind FOIA logs themselves. And the results, because all of these are verified CIA paperworks from like the CIA.gov, but some of them were like I had to click on the thing and it took me to like the FOIA log home, and then you can click on it and see the document. So some of these are only here for us because someone FOIA log requested them, which I think is amazing. 10 out of 10 props to them, but fuck you, CIA. So this first one is from August 6th, 1952. So like I told you guys, they've been experimenting on us since at least the 1950s, if not earlier, because some of their other paperworks mentioned the 1920s and 30s. So over 100 years at this point of them experimenting on us. They never stopped this stuff. If they found out they could poison us and make us complicit, why would they stop that? And it says memorandum for chief, and then it's blacked out with an arrow pointing to the name. Very interesting. So I guess that was an important guy. And it says subject Project Artichoke. 1. In accordance with the attached memorandum from the chief, blacked out, to the redacted, and it looks like it says G next to the redacted spot. That's interesting. Dated 29 July 1952, coordination on behalf of redacted of Project Artichoke is transferred effective this date from chief redacted to chief redacted. 2. Attached to this memorandum is the Artichoke file, which it is suggested that you review for any necessary immediate action. And then it's got another really big blacked out chunk, and it says A with an arrow pointing to it. Attachments, memorandum as stated above, Artichoke file, CC chief redacted, chief redacted, chief redacted with a G next to it. Approved for release on 1 June 1976, I think it says. I can't really tell that date. And then it says redacted with G/A next to it. 5 August 1952, distribution, original addressee with attachments, and then a bunch of chiefs. So this went to like 10 or 11 people or more that's all redacted. And then it says number 10 off to the side and 67, and then a bunch of H's. So they have A, G, and H, and then there's like just a section that's blacked out on the left side or whited out. This is all so sketchy. Every single one of y'all complicit in this shit. I hate y'all. I hate y'all so bad. So that's the first one. That's the first one for Project Artichoke. That doesn't really tell us anything about it. But we will start getting into some meat and potatoes of this. I promise you, these documents get crazy. And then the next one is a 2-pager, and it says 3rd February 1975, memorandum for the record, subject Project Artichoke. 1. In the conduct of investigating Project Artichoke, attempts were made to locate and review all available Office of Security information pertinent to Project Artichoke. The information base for the memorandum, tab A, was the materials found in old SRS files. Oh, I wonder if that's the A that we saw in that other paper. If that's tab A they're talking about, and there's tab G and tab H. Specifically, a box of materials provided out of retirement from redacted. I wonder if that's supposed to be a lettered agency or a person? The referenced box of materials also contained a file entitled LSD. MKULTRA? Pertaining primarily to one Frank Olson. Much of the information contained in the LSD file appeared to be IG file information. I'm guessing they don't mean Instagram with that, but I don't know what they mean with that. The Office of Security file on Frank Olson was not reviewed, as the Olson matter was to be handled separately by a different reviewer. I am so surprised that they didn't redact Frank Olson's name, because you don't usually see names in all of these. Oh, what did that say? Oh, come on. Show me all the. Oh. Hello from Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello. What's this channel about? This is reading Project Artichoke, a declassified CIA document, or a couple declassified CIA documents about a project that is all about poisoning our food and water and making us depressed and anxious on purpose with chemicals they fill it with. 2, searching Office of Security records and indices. I think that was supposed to say indexes card for a Project Bluebird was found in SRD. Oh, so we should look into that one next. Reflecting an OS file number 6920S or 8. However, an exhaustive effort to locate such file met with negative results. That's cool. I'll sub. Have a good day. Thank you for subbing. You have a good day too. However, no record was found in SRD of any file entitled Project Artichoke. It was speculated that perhaps the Project Bluebird file was purged or destroyed routinely, and perhaps the index card was inadvertently left in the file. So they're admitting to destroying documents, at least for Project Bluebird, is what I'm hearing here. That's insane. That pisses me off. That pisses me off so fucking bad. These men do these war crimes and these horrible things against humanity where they're experimenting on us like lab rats, and then they redact the information. They hide it behind FOIA log requests and classified information labels, and then they just fucking destroy the paper trail on it. I hate every single one of you, and I hope very bad things I can't say online happen to y'all. That is pathetic, you pathetic men. That is pathetic. Low life. However, the fact remains that although an index card... it could not be found. 3, in attempting to locate all available information pertinent to Project Artichoke inquiry, Messrs. Is that supposed to say Mrs.? It's MESSRS. Redacted, and star redacted were contacted and their assistance was obtained. 4, as reflected in tab C, we haven't seen that one yet. A memorandum was prepared utilizing information from DDS&T sources. Old OSI information was reviewed for pertinent information regarding Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke. CIA officer. Oh, the star was a CIA officer is what they're saying. Oh, so they can freaking dox, what is it, Frank Olson, but CIA officer gets redacted. According to Mr. Redacted, a review of Office of Medical Services personnel for pertinent Project Artichoke materials initially failed to reflect relevant data. However, Dr. Redacted of Medical Services is reported to maintain certain sensitive files in his own safe, and on his return to duty will search further for pertinent Project Artichoke materials. So this doctor guy's hiding the materials too! So not only are they throwing them away and trashing them and destroying them on purpose, they're keeping them privately, which also reminds me of how Trump just took a bunch of fucking classified info and was hiding it at Mar-a-Lago or wherever the fuck else in his own personal archives, because why not? Why not? They've been doing it since the 1950s. Why not let another pathetic man do pathetic man things? 6, in response to direction by Mr. Redacted of DDS&T, or maybe that's DDSST, I can't tell, was contacted on 31 January 1975 in an attempt to review OTS records for pertinent Project Artichoke materials. Mr. Redacted reported that a discussion with Mr. Sayer Stevens revealed that OTS had no pertinent records available. So they doxed another guy! Why did they get to redact some of these and then they doxed the other guys? Jesus Louises. Mr. Redacted reflected that the office of the DDS&T had gone back to OTS 7 or 8 times to obtain Project Artichoke information, but none apparently remained in OTS. It has been reported that Redacted destroyed a number of boxes of materials prior to his termination at agency employment. A number of boxes? He destroyed a number of boxes of material. Oh, I hate these men. Oh, I hate these men. I hate these men. I hate these men. Okay, I think this is where it starts to get into some of the good stuff, because those were the 2 short ones, and then we have the 6, 7, and 8-page ones. This is where it's gonna start getting a little crazy. This is the stuff I wanted to really get into with you guys. But this says 31 January 1975, which I think was the... Oh no, that's not the same day as the last one was. It says, it's another memorandum for the record. Subject, Project Artichoke. Artichoke is the agency cryptonym for the study and or use of special interrogation methods and techniques. These special interrogation methods have been known to include the use of drugs and chemicals, hypnosis, and total isolation, a form of psychological harassment. A review of available file information obtained from Office of Security Resources failed to reflect a comprehensive or complete picture of the Artichoke program as participated in by the Office of Security. So glad you could go live. I'm so glad you could join me. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Mwah! Thank you for joining. We're about to just get into the juicy stuff, so you joined at just the right time. Let's see. Fragmentary information contained in a variety of files previously maintained by the Security Research Staff, SRS, reflected several basic papers which described in general terms the program known as Artichoke. So there's so many fucking agencies, lettered agencies that are involved in this. It's like the CIA, the FBI, the SRS, the SSR&T, or whatever the hell it was that was that other acronym. Like there's an endless number of these stupid agencies, so it's not just the CIA. And if anything, I'm learning that now they've learned from all of this. They don't like declassifying their stuff. They don't like us being able to FOIA log request their information. So instead of it being the CIA and FBI doing it to where they legally have to tell us some of the stuff, they subcontract out to private employers or private contractors and stuff like that, so they can go do their war crimes for them, where they're still working directly for them and with them and doing the same shit, the same terrible experimentation on humanity and the planet. But they don't have to FOIA log request release the information to us because, oh, it wasn't the CIA, it was the guys down here. It was these pathetic low-life scumbag douchebags doing all the bad stuff, not the CIA, so you can't FOIA log request that. You can't see that get declassified in 50 years once they're done with it. And they don't want you to know what they're doing currently, so they're distracting you with all the old stuff they do. Pisses me off! Oh! Cities in alignment with things you share about yourself. Aw. Okay, let's see. Information contained therein indicated that prior to 1952, the Office of Security had studied the use of drugs and chemicals in unconventional interrogation, so torture. What the fuck? These studies were evidently coordinated with the agency unit, which was then called OSI. OSI at that time apparently was the coordinating unit within CIA. So like I said, there's a bunch of acronyms. A bunch of terrible, pathetic men hiding behind acronyms and the power of big, tough agencies to do war crimes against humanity. One paper reflected that an Office of Security team, as early as 1949 to 1950, experimented with drugs and hypnosis under a project called Bluebird. Oh, it was a 2-part comment. Oh. Here, wait, let me see if I can... I don't know why it's not showing all of them at the same time. What is a BMW? Is that a car? I do not have a BMW car. I do have a bunch of social media profiles I'm cross-platform posting on, though. I don't know why it won't show all of my comments with you guys. I want to see them all the time. Just let them, like, scroll up. Okay, let's see. Boom, boom, boom. I got distracted. Oh gosh. It's so hard staying focused on this and try and keep on the live with you guys and go back and forth. I'm so sorry. My mind is running like a million miles an hour because I'm also thinking about Project Bluebird in the background now, and Project Rainbow, and Project Aquatope, and Project Operation Lack, and Operation Sea Spray, and all of the other fucked up psyops and things like that that I know. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. I low key like also love the distractions. My ADHD loves running on like 8 billion platforms and processors at once. It just sometimes the wires get a little crisscrossed in my brain, and I'm like, what was I? Okay, let's see. So yeah, I want to get into Bluebird with you guys. I honestly, since this live is going really well, I'm gonna see after I upload it with you guys. I'm gonna see how easy it is to take it from this and make it an actual video on my channel. And if that goes well, I might start doing a live over these declassified things like every day, every other day with you guys, and just really start deep diving into this because I have so much I want to read and share with y'all. Y'all are so funny. I love that y'all get it. Like I get it. Oh my god. This entire collective just mwah, 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 mwah. You have my whole entire heart. I love you all. Mwah. Oh. This paper also reflected that by 1951, actual interrogations utilizing drugs were conducted by a combined team of Office of Security and Office of, what does it say? Does it say ICE? Office of ICE of Medical Services personnel? I can't read what that says, but few details were available. So yeah, as early as at least 1951, they were interrogating people with like MKUltra type shit. And actually, I wonder when MKUltra. You know what? Let's Google that. We have a computer of everything right here. 1953. So this was a precursor. This was a precursor to MKUltra, is what I'm getting. Huh. Okay, so I was right. They never actually stopped these horrible programs experimenting on us. They just changed their names or subcontract them out. So, to my military ex who argued with me that they stopped these things because they didn't find what they were looking for, disrespectfully, you're wrong, and we literally have the paper trails that they kept doing it. Why would they stop doing this? Come on, make it make sense. Use your military brain and not just your dog tags. Come on, man. Sorry, with love, respectfully. Disrespectfully to him, but different story, different day. Might spill the tea with y'all on that at some point. File information indicated that in 1952, overall responsibility for Project Artichoke passed from OSI to the Office of Security. References to operational use of drugs as an aid to interrogation since that time were found in various files, but few details concerning these experiments were reflected. So they've been done fucking around doing terrible stuff and just not documenting it. Like, hello? Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think you're right. I also think gate kids like us are being tracked somehow because my dad was a military defense contractor and also worked, or well, he was military and a defense contractor, so he worked for the Air Force and Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works, NASA, Boeing, Pratt and Whitney, all the big bad guys you can think of. He worked for both of them. And I went through his LinkedIn actually and I got a video of all of his like job descriptions that he's posted. He's had control of like millions of dollars of black budgets. He's worked in clean rooms that specifically monitor your own emotional state, and if your own emotions are fucked up, it will literally affect the work you are working on. Which is crazy. Crazy. And I was a gate kid, and I have had so many people in my comments across all my collectives say that they are also gate kids with military parents. Hate that. I'm pretty sure I've been being tracked basically my entire life because of it and all of my connections because I don't remember a single thing that happened to me in gate program. And my mom doesn't have any papers from it, which is weird because she saved everything. Like she's got like my first grade report cards and shit like that. Did you ever have convos with this stuff about your dad? I wish. I wish. He's an asshole and he thinks I'm a crazy liberal because I care about the planet and her people, even though I think Democrats and Republicans are both stupid and politics is dumb and meant to divide us and stop us from realizing we're just animals sharing a floating rock in space. I would love to talk to him about all this stuff because he sees the patterns and the weirdness too, and he's made some comments, but maybe we'll get there. Maybe we'll get there one day. One day. My family and I have had a very tumultuous relationship over the years, and it's been It's been a time. It's been a time. My pattern recognition is too strong, and my sense of like autistic justice is too strong, and I speak up for the little guy, and that gets me in a lot of trouble with people who don't like the little guy being stood up for. Oh, that's crazy. 5 years old is insane. I think I was in like fourth or fifth grade, maybe earlier than that, but honestly, I'm not even sure because I don't even remember how long I was in the program. I just know I was one of, if not the only kids in the program at my school. I was also like one of the smartest kids at my school, like humble brag, low key. Sorry, not sorry. But yeah, like I got my associates at 17 and like I have been very academically advanced my whole life. They've been keeping tabs on me, especially because I've literally called like the FBI and DARPA and DHS and stuff like that like years ago. Like I know I'm on lists. I put myself on lists. The FBI hung up on me on Juneteenth. I know I'm on lists. Crazy shit though. Gate needs to be like its own separate live that I do with you guys because I could ramble for hours looking into that too, honestly, and we probably need to. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. Okay, let me get back into this. Let's see. They were using drugs on interrogations and they didn't document it, or if they did, they destroyed everything. A memorandum, subject title Project Artichoke, dated 21 November 1952, by Mr. Sheffield Edwards, reflected transfer of control of Project Artichoke from OSI to the Office of Security. So they doxed another fucking dude. That's like 3 dudes they've doxed. But some of these guys get to stay hidden by their stupid little declassified, or what is it? Their stupid little redacted shits. That's so dumb. Oh, and then at the top of the first paper, it says 483 with a circle around it and then a strike through it. I don't know if that's important. And the bottom of this page says 75 42. And then the top of the next one that I just started with y'all says 3.97, it looks like. And then again, that 483 with the circle and the line through it. I don't know what all those numbers mean, but it feels like they're important, especially because there were letters on the other one, and then it mentioned tabs that corresponded with the letters. It's somehow connected to their storage system and like their fucked up code of experimenting on humanity and FOIA log stuff, and I don't even know, but it feels important. So if you guys know more about what all this is about, please, please let me know because I am so curious every time I see all this shit. The memorandum indicated that I and SO, Office of Security, should call upon the research and support facilities of the CIA medical staff and the Office of Technical Services as required. That's sketchy. Does that mean that they were like drugging these people so hard they needed medical intervention? Or was it the medical staff that were responsible for doing the drugging? That's a really weird sentence to me. Responsibility for the evaluation of foreign intelligence aspects of the project were to remain with OSI. The unit within the Office of Security, which apparently coordinated Project Artichoke activities, was SRI or SRS with Mr. Redacted. So he gets redacted and not doxed. He's important enough. For many years, the focal point. Details of Office of Security involvement in individual Project Artichoke operational utilizations were found in very few instances. A reference in an SRS log 1951 67. So I wonder if that means it was going on for 16 years. Reflected, however, that SRS had been involved in the experimentation and use of hypnosis from the start. Really making me think of algorithms right now and how that kind of hypnotizes you, especially when you combine it with the LED lights that they use on us right now and the rapid flicker rate that those have when you compare them to the incandescents we used to have. Look up that if y'all don't believe me. The rapid flicker rate of the LEDs literally puts you in a state of psychosis and like anxiety and depression because it's strobing faster than your brain can comprehend. So it's basically like at your system the whole time, sorry for yelling at y'all, but like that's what the LED lights are doing constantly. So that's crazy. I think it's connected to the part of like the hypnosis from the start. They're doing it through the screens, the little black mirrors in our pockets, the lights, the sounds that they have. There's so many sounds and frequencies I think going on in the background, especially if you've seen the movie Hoppers, where it talks about the fake trees, aka, the fake trees that we have, the power lines and they literally have them that look like fake trees, IRL and in the movie. And the Gwen towers slash 5G towers I think they're blasting out a frequency that we can't hear, but our brains and our bodies are instantly affected by. Look up the Monroe Institute, 1983 CIA mind control did a video about it. Woo! Okay, yeah. The Monroe Institute is very interesting stuff because we just read the gateway process in the last one with the CIA and the Monroe Institute together. I think they're the baddies. I think they're the baddies too because they were working with the CIA. As much as I want to be like, ooh, little meditation retreat that teaches you how to astral project and stuff. Gateway, yup. There's a 5.5 hour live that I did with y'all that I posted on here. That was reading the entirety of the analysis and assessment of the gateway process. That took so long and it came out so good and I'm so proud of it. I also did another 4.5 hour live on all of the CIA's scalar interference documents. And then my TikTok got banned, so I lost that entire live and all of that data. But we'll redo it. We'll redo it. What's meant to happen will happen. In the same reference, it was stated that SRS has examined and investigated numerous unusual techniques of interrogation, including psychological harassment and such matters as total isolation. I hate that. I hate them. The SRS log referred to above, which covered a period from 1951 to 1967. Oh, thank you for subbing. Yeah, like I said, I'll do another live on the scalar interference because that one is like I reference that a lot in my stuff because there's some crazy shit in there. It talks about being able to generate and take energy from any distance at any time, no matter how deep underground or far across the planet. It can do whatever it wants, and the graphs that it shows are crazy, which is how I know they're tracking and measuring our frequency because it shows graphs of frequency and what it looks like on their scalar interference shit. It's crazy. It also talks about putting scalar generators in Tesla watches back in like the 1950s, which really makes me think they're putting some weird shit in our smartwatches and our Fitbits and our Aura rings and stuff like that because the black mirrors and the algorithms and the hypnosis of all that and the mind control of all that wasn't enough. It's really weird. So we'll get into that one next, I think, or Project Bluebird. We might do a little bit of both. Robert Edward Grant Polymath, check him out. There's so many things to check out constantly. I literally have like hundreds of thousands of comments that I need to look into and go through of you guys sending me more information. Either you run the day or the day runs you. I like that. That's a good quote. In the same, nope, we already just read that. The SRS log referred to above, which covered a period from 1951 to 1967. So I was right, that is what it means. So that was 16 years. Indicated that as of 1967, the term artichoke is not in general use now, and drug interrogation is conducted from the recommendation of an agency committee of which the chief SRS is the Office of Security Representative. So, just like I said, they continued these programs. They just changed their names or took their names away. They're still doing it. They literally just told us that. They're still doing it. They never stopped. No record was found which reflected when or if overall responsibility for Project Artichoke was transferred from the Office of Security to any other agency component. Yeah, so they keep us in the dark with how all of this goes on. One of the few areas where detailed information was available was concerned with hypnotic experimentations. A log of hypnotic experiments conducted by Office of Security personnel was reviewed. The log reflected that numerous, probably several hundred experiments with hypnotism were conducted in agency buildings, apparently utilizing the staff employee volunteers as subjects. Several hundred of employee volunteers as subjects. Why the fuck you would ever sign up to be a test subject for this is insane. I really feel like they didn't fully consent to this because why you would even work for an agency doing some shit like this in the first place is beyond me, but why you would want it tested on you so they can turn you into a sleeper cell without you knowing and against your consent is wild to me. That, like, what? What? I don't even, what? In some instances, representatives from agency components other than the Office of Security were present. Oh, so they had like a, what is it called? What was it called when people would like observe surgeries? Like an observation deck or something like that? They had like an observatory for doing all of this weird shit. That's so weird. These men are so weird. Ew. The log reflected hypnotic experimentations during 1951, 1952, and 1953. It could not be determined from available file information when the hypnotic experiments actually began or were caused to be ceased. So they don't know when it started and they don't know when it stopped. Just like I told y'all, I think it's been going on for a lot longer and it's a lot deeper and a lot worse than we know because they don't classify or declassify or tell us a lot of things and a lot's been destroyed. No record was located which reflected hypnosis utilized as an actual operational tool in the field. In connection with hypnotism, it appears that SRS utilized an agency employee, one redacted, as an informant in various societies dealing with hypnotism to keep abreast of current developments in the field. So they got a fucking mole or a rat or whatever the fuck it's called where you like infiltrate almost like a honeypot kind of. I don't know what the term is for that, where he's working for the bad guys and he infiltrates other groups doing crazy stuff. Best conspiracy theories are the ones they don't allow on the internet. Yeah, I agree. What did the rest of that one say? I know they don't like to let them on. With Project Orion, if you look that up on the internet, you're gonna find a NASA engine. Oh, interesting. It was an MKUltra project where they put people in a coma, gave them subliminal implants under hallucinogens, and got them to attack soft targets with a trigger word. That's crazy. I saw the video recently. I saved it. I archived it somewhere in my stuff of them hypnotizing a guy to shoot someone on stage. And he didn't remember being hypnotized at all or carrying out the shooting or any of that. So I believe that 1,000%. They also hide a lot of things behind children's books and songs, is what I found. Like if you try to look up certain projects and you Google it, it'll pull up a shit ton of like, oh, this rapper made it. This rapper did that. This rapper did that. This rapper did that. Look, that's a kid's movie. That's not a project we did. That's a kid's movie. That's a kid's movie. That's a book. That's fiction. That's a book. That's fiction. That's a book. That's fiction. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. Few references. Oh, this page says either 97 or 797 at the top with again that 483 and the strikeout with the circle. Few references were found pertaining to the area of total isolation as an interrogation aid. A memorandum pertaining to this subject, dated 21 March 1955, was written by Mr. Redacted of SRS to the Director of Security. The paper discussed total isolation techniques as an operational tool of potential. Another paper, a sterilized version, probably written by an element of the Department of Defense. That's a weird aside to toss in there. Dated 16 March 1955, reflected the results of total isolation experiments on 6 volunteers, all members of the US military. Why would the military guys want to partake in this either? I mean, I guess it makes sense because in the psyops that I've read about, every single branch of the military is complicit in doing all of this weird shit, experimenting on us like lab rats. So I guess it's only fair they get experimented on like lab rats too sometimes. I don't know, that's so weird. No reference was found to any additional experiments in this field, nor was any reference found which reflected actual use of this technique in an operational situation. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I think it's because you destroyed the documents showing that. As far as the experimentation and or utilization of various drugs is concerned, references to a few instances were located, but little detail was available, and it was clear from the files that much of the detailed information probably was maintained by agency units other than the Office of Security, i.e., the Office of Medical Services and the Office of Technical Services. That's so weird. Among the instances where details were located in which drugs were used in an operational environment under the auspices of Project Artichoke were the following. Okay, so here's where we start getting into the juicy stuff, I think. Oh, one of y'all said something. Why does it keep popping away my chat? Oh, hello, bots or FBI, CIA agents lurking in my comments. Oh, hello, also person that's hopefully not a CIA, FBI, whatever, lurking in my comments. Welcome, welcome. The precursor to Orion. Yeah, I know. They're all just bots or like literally just government informants. I don't care. None of it bothers me anymore. It's just kind of funny to see. Be like, okay, I've never been called methany before, nor have I ever done meth. Is that fun? I assume it's not. From all of my studying of it, it seems like it's actually quite terrible and ruins your life, but that's a funny little nickname you gave me, weird little CIA bot. I've been called a lot of things, but never methany. Emo girl, I guess. Emo, alternative, goth, I don't know. Well, you are welcome to lurk. Even if you are a CIA informant, you are always welcome to lurk and say things. You may speak whatever you like. I never hide my comments or anything or ban people for free speech. Even if I don't agree with it or it's weird or rude or mean, I'm fully transparent. You can say what you want. I don't care. You look like a liberal, but you're reading about conspiracy theory, so I don't know which way you lean. I think both sides are stupid, and I'm trying to help take them all down. Democrats and Republicans are just dividing us from being people sharing a floating rock in space, and none of them are good at helping us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am not a gangster, no. Let's see. It is gonna happen because I'm helping it happen. So, I mean, Delulu is the Salulu, baby. I saw you delivering drugs yesterday. Okay, CIA agent. I love that for you, no name. I love that for you. Okay, I'm gonna let the chat do whatever the chat's doing with the weird bots that are in here. I'm just gonna start reading and keep reading because it seems like we've got a weird influx of bots going on. So y'all have fun in the comments. I'll let y'all build your own community. I'm just gonna let y'all do your thing. And if you want to watch, you can watch. If not, I'm gonna keep reading. In 1954, three subjects were interrogated by a Project Artichoke team utilizing drugs of an unspecified nature. Oh, so they don't even tell us what drugs they're using. The three subjects were identified as redacted, redacted, and redacted in a memorandum dated 13 January 1955, with a cover sheet signed by Mr. Redacted. The interrogations took place in Redacted, and the memorandum. Weird throat chakra blockage there. Something really does not want me talking about this, especially with all the issues I had trying to go live about this yesterday and all the weird bots in the chat now. Something is really trying to pull my energy away from all this stuff. That's like crazy. The interrogations took place in blank, and the memorandum mentioned injections of solution 1 and solution 2, but these drugs were not further identified. So that makes me think it was a mix. That's kind of crazy. Because someone mentioned something about scopolamine the other day and how it comes from trumpet flowers, and that was part of the Epstein files, was Jeffrey Epstein was talking about trumpet flowers. So makes me think if he's utilizing some of the weird like combination solution, whatever the heck's from these. It was noted in the memorandum that the cases were handled under straight drug techniques. Hypnosis or narco hypnosis was not attempted. So it seems like sometimes they use hypnosis, sometimes they use drugs, and sometimes they use a combination of drugs and hypnosis to do what they want. B. A memorandum dated 20 January 1959 to Mr. Redacted from Redacted indicated that a field request had been made for a P1 interrogation. The writer Redacted identified a P1 interrogation as one using LSD. Oh, fun. Approval was granted on 27 January 1959 by the initials Redacted, presumably Mr. Redacted. No further reference to the case could be found, thus no details were available. And then it says 75-44 at the bottom. Oh, I want to look at the page numbers. Because let's see. Because there was one last time I read the Gateway Files, we found a page missing at the end of it. That first one didn't have a page. Okay, this does. 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, this does have all the pages. But yeah, we found a page missing last time in the Gateway Files that they did not add that I kind of want a FOIA log request. And then the next page at the top says 397, and then again that 483 with the strike through it, which... Oh, 483 is on every page, but it's not... It doesn't have the strike through on the last page, but it has a strike through on every other page. I don't know what that means, but that's weird. C. A series of cables between Redacted and headquarters in 1955 requested artichoke interrogations for 9 persons. No disposition in this instance was found, however. A transmittal slip affixed to the materials dated in 1960 indicated that the artichoke interrogations probably did not actually take place in blank at that time. It looks like it starts with an O or a C, that I can kind of see the first letter of it behind that. I wonder if do you guys know if there's like a software that we could run this through to try to unredact this stuff? Because I know people were doing it with the Epstein files and they were able to unredact a lot of stuff because people were just like digitally redacting, kind of. Maybe since this seems like it was a physical redaction before it was like digitally archived, maybe we can't. But maybe AI or something might be able to help figure out what's behind the squiggles or something, somehow analyze it, because there's got to be something with the like the strokes and the depth and stuff like that, because I know it reminds me of that was like an old spy thing that I heard of, where it was like if you wrote a note or whatever on something, I think it was in like MacGyver or whatever, where if you write in pen and then scratch something out and tear a piece of paper off like a notepad or something, you can just use like a little bit of graphite over the top of it or something, and it'll show you what's underneath because it etched the pen in. So I kind of wonder. Because then we can start talking to these people, or even the people that their names were fucking doxed. If they're still alive, we can be like, hey, what's up, buddy? What information do you have to share about Project Artichoke and all the sketchy things that you know? Let's see. Actually take place in D. A memo contained in the security file of Redacted reflected that an artichoke team was dispatched to Redacted in June 1952 to conduct artichoke interrogations on Redacted. No further reference to this operation was noted, and no disposition could be found. E. In the case of Redacted operation in Redacted, drugs were utilized in the interrogation which took place in Redacted. Again, details of the operation were not available. However, an interview with the Office of Security representative who participated in the interrogation revealed that a form of LSD was used in this instance. So they really like using LSD. Put the LSD in our water. Shit, if you're gonna drug it, at least make it fun. I'm kidding. Please stop drugging our water. That's stupid. In this case, approval was granted by headquarters for the artichoke interrogation. A memorandum dated 6 July 1960, signed by Mr. Redacted, Deputy Director of Security, reflected that approval for use of drugs in this case was granted at a meeting of the Drug Committee on 1 July 1960 and cabled to Redacted. As stated earlier, little detail was available in file information concerning the conduct of actual cases utilizing Project Artichoke techniques. It appears obvious, however, that the few cases noted above were only a small part of the actual utilization of artichoke techniques in the field. For one thing, almost no information was available for the period prior to 1952, so that Project Bluebird experiments and operations were not noted specifically. That's sketchy, so we just don't have records of a lot of it. Okay. In addition, annual reports of accomplishments found in SRS log materials reflected a substantial amount of activity in the Project Artichoke area. The review for 1953 to 1954 stated in part that SRS had dispatched an artichoke team for permanent location in an overseas area. They dispatched an artichoke team for permanent location in an overseas area. Really making me think how we have, like, what is it, 800 something military bases across the entire world? But nobody else is allowed to have a military base in America. But we can have them everywhere. Hoorah! Military! Yay! That's crazy. Like, that's really crazy. That makes me think of, what is it, Project Iceworm and Camp Century up in Greenland, and also Trump's weird, like, obsession with Greenland. I wonder if that's where they put the artichoke team. I wonder if there's a way to figure out where the artichoke team is at, because that's kind of crazy. The review for 1954 to 1955 stated in part that SRS conducted numerous artichoke experiments and prepared and dispatched an artichoke team to an overseas area to handle a number of sensitive cases. Which really just makes me think they're fucking poisoning people overseas. Like, y'all aren't safe in any other country if we've been dispatching people and teams, permanent teams, since the 1950s to go do crazy shit with drugs and hypnosis and inducing all kinds of awful feelings and stuff onto you. No country is safe when America's military is everywhere. And the end of this page says 75-45. And then the top of the next one says 397. And it says, review of file materials consistently reflected that the Office of Security exercised caution in the utilization of drugs under the Artichoke program. Although it is apparent that SRS for a number of years was engaged with certain other agency components in research and operational work with hallucinogenic drugs, the work was apparently conducted under strict controls. As previously stated, no information pertaining to when or if control of Project Artichoke was transferred from the Office of Security to another agency component was located. Apparently, SRS at one time maintained an inventory of artichoke materials, which contained numerous drugs of all types, including LSD 25. I wonder, I'm going to Google that really quick and see if that's like a variation of LSD or like what that means. So it seems like they're the same thing, just different variants. Okay. A memorandum dated 14 October 1957 requested authorization for SRS to transfer artichoke materials and apparatus to Dr. Redacted, but it starts with an E, of Medical Services. The memorandum was written by Mr. Redacted, and approval to transfer the materials was granted by Mr. Redacted on 17 October 1957. In review of file information contained in SRS materials, one incident which occurred in November 1953 appears worthy of note. Although it was not clear from file information whether or not the incident occurred under the auspices of Project Artichoke, the incident did involve use of LSD in an experimental exercise. One Frank Olson, doxing him again, a civilian employee of the Department of the Army, committed suicide a week or so after having been administered LSD by an agency representative. Holy shit. That to me makes me feel like they made him take himself out. Like they fucked with his mind so bad in whatever they did to him that he would rather just not deal with it than like continue. Or like he learned too much, or maybe they silenced him. Like that's crazy. Anytime any of these branches or agencies say someone committed suicide, I automatically don't trust it, and I think they did something to either directly cause it or that they were responsible for doing it. Like either they did it to him and then called it a suicide, or they made him commit suicide by like giving him Havana syndrome or using like voice to skull technology and making him hear demons that he like literally went insane from type shit. I also think that's what happened with the Trump assassination that just happened. I don't think that was real. He did not seem scared at all. His security personnel did not at all act like they would if it were an actual assassination attempt. Like, we the people aren't stupid. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. That's not how those things work. That's not how that works. That's not how you do things with the president of the United States. It's fake. That's just as fake as the time he got the hole in his ear, and they paused on stage before they rushed him off so that they could make sure the photographers got a picture of him as the crane operator lowered the American flag in the background and he went, "Ugh." He's just trying to garner sympathy from people and keep them from questioning all of the insane shit that he's doing, and the fact that he's been literally just embezzling money like crazy, and now they're begging us to donate money to them to help pay off the debt that they're in and build them a ballroom. Let's see. Details concerning this incident apparently will be reported in a separate memorandum, but it appears that the drug was administered to several unwitting subjects by a Dr. Gottlieb, at that time a branch chief in TSS, now OTS. Why do I recognize that name? So they did do it against the will of some of these people and for interrogations, and they admit to it. Oh, nope, that's pulling up. Let's see. Was it Sidney Gottlieb? Yep, they worked on MKUltra, it looks like. Okay. Oh, wait a second. Is this another? Why does it not want to pull up? I think this is another artichoke paper, but it's just labeled the United States Senate Report of Proceedings Testimony of Sidney Gottlieb. Whoa, it's 98 pages. Hello? We might have to make this a really long live, y'all. This has 27 mentions of Project Artichoke. Oh, bother. Oh, bother. See, this is what I'm talking about. So I was able to find those 5 documents and I've read, we're in the middle of the 3rd one right now with y'all. Just searching Project Artichoke, but then there's stuff like this where it's all about testimony from the guy who worked on Project Artichoke and God knows what else. It also right here mentions Bluebird right next to it. So who knows what all's in this 98 pages, but it's hidden behind something that's not even called Project Artichoke, has no reference to Project Artichoke. Like, it's about the United States Senate in a hearing with one of the guys who worked on it. We might have to make this into its own law. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. We might get into this depending on how my throat is and how long this takes us to get through the rest of the ones. I'm just gonna start reading all the rest of what we have left because that's insane. That's crazy that Googling his name brought me to a 98-page thing, and I'm sure if I go through the rest of it, there's more CIA documents that mention this that also don't have artichoke like in their title name, but they're all about it. Oh, there's so much hidden information. I just want to. Okay. A short time after the LSD was administered, the subjects were told that they had been given LSD. On the day following the experiment, Olson began to behave in a peculiar and erratic manner and was later placed under the care of a psychiatrist. A few days later, Olson crashed through a window in a New York hotel in an apparent suicide. I told you guys, I don't think it was a suicide! He crashed through a window! That's giving someone just like what was it? Is it Trevor Wallace or Trevor Moore? Who was it that fell off a balcony and was exposing like all of the stuff the deletes are doing? I'm telling y'all, I think they're taking the people out. They're experimenting on them and then just making them disappear somehow. That's insane. A memorandum dated 1 December 1953 from the IG staff caused the impoundment of all LSD materials. Information contained in the above-mentioned files reflected that the drug had been administered without the prior knowledge or approval of the Office of Security or the Office of Medical Services. I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all. I don't buy that at all because you guys have been mentioned all up in these papers. I don't buy that at all. And the bottom of this says 75-46. It should be noted that the information contained herein is based on resources available within the Office of Security only, and no effort has been made to delve into files of other agency units, such as the Office of Medical Services or the Office of Technical Services. As the reader is by now acutely aware, insufficient information was available to provide a clear understanding of either Project Bluebird or Project Artichoke. I don't buy that. Investigative efforts reflected that numerous files and collected data had been routinely purged or destroyed in the normal course of events at some time in the past. And then it says 75-47 at the bottom. I don't buy that at all. Y'all are purposely destroying information. Okay, that's the end of the 3rd one. Whoa, this has got a bunch of letter A's next to the side of like all of this. I want to scroll through really quick and see if any of these. Oh, there's a bunch at the top and bottom that are redacted, like the page numbers. Oh, this is getting into the crazy stuff now here. 4, 5, 6. Okay, I think this one has all the pages. This is some of the crazy information that I really wanted to get into reading with y'all. Is where it really gets juicy beyond just the we're using LSD against their will. And then let's see, at the top of this, it says it looks like either A1B1 or H1B1 and then 4-2. And then, like I said, a bunch of stuff is redacted and just has a big letter A, like all over. There's like 20 letter A's on the side. And it says 24 April 1952, special research for Artichoke. 1. On Wednesday, 23 April 1952, the writer had an extended conversation with Redacted, a consultant to this agency and a ranking officer of the TSS organization. Redacted expressed great interest in the artichoke problem and closely related matters and stated to the writer that he personally would offer assistance in both research and in money to any projects along these lines that the writer might suggest. Ew. Redacted stated that he did not wish official communications in these matters, since he stated they were too slow, but suggested with the approval of Redacted that he would be given a brief informal memorandum covering projects which we felt were of material interest to the Artichoke project and which could be done by research within TSS or by contract or farming out to capable researchers or institutions. So like I told y'all, they're working with a ton of different branches, a ton of different agencies, a ton of different people, a ton of different fucking Weasley, shitty, slimy, shady men with backdoor access to a lot of things that are taking their access and doing shady, shitty things with it together. I hate all of these people. Redacted stated that he felt that the artichoke work was of extreme importance and no time should be lost in getting artichoke research underway. I hate that. I hate that. I hate you. I hate that. He stated he would do everything in his power to expedite and carry out necessary research. You are a vile, evil, pathetic worm. 2. In view of redacted statements, on Thursday, 24 April 1952, the writer discussed the situation with Redacted, and Redacted suggested that the writer draw up a list of suggestions related to Artichoke, and that in the near future he, Redacted, and the writer could study these suggestions and determine which of them were suitable for research or for development otherwise. 3. Set forth on the following pages are a series of suggestions which were related to the Artichoke program and which the writer feels are worthy of exploration. Some of these suggestions are controversial, and in the opinion of the writer, they could be presented to outstanding authorities in the fields to be considered, and it could be ascertained from these authorities whether or not full-scale research would be warranted. I don't believe that. If this is in the CIA archives, I think that they utilized all of these techniques and technologies and drug combinations and whatever the fuck else. I don't think they just were handed this 7 pages of, hey, here's some torture techniques, and then they went, nah, we have our own, we're good. I think they took those, implemented them, and then expanded upon them on unwilling participants. Let's see. 4. For matter of record and to explain such subjects as electroshock and lobotomy appearing in the attached lists, these subjects were introduced into the conversation by Redacted. And then it's redacted, all at the bottom and top of the next page. Suggested fields for special research relative artichoke. I. Chemicals, including drugs. It is believed that specific research should be undertaken to develop new chemicals or drugs to improve known elements for use in the artichoke work. A study should be made to determine what drugs are best suited for direct use on subjects along the lines of amytal and pentothal, and which drugs are best for indirect or long-range approach to subjects. Yo, what? And which drugs are best for indirect or long-range approach to subjects? So that means they can drug you without touching you and from any distance, which also is throwing me back to that scalar interference live I was telling y'all about, where they mentioned being able to generate and harness energy at any distance. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. This second type of drug should be one that could be administered over a considerable period of time, possibly being placed in food or water, and would have either an agitating effect, producing anxiety, nervousness, tension, etc., or a depressing effect, creating a feeling of despondency, hopelessness, lethargy, etc. This study should include chemicals or drugs that can effectively, and that's underlined, be concealed in common items such as food, water, Coca-Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes, etc. This type of drug should also be capable of use in standard medical treatments such as vaccinations, shots, etc. Yeah, you think that they were told by this guy that, hey, you can put all these mind-altering population control drugs into cigarettes and beer and liquor and soda and all of the things you force your populations to consume, and vaccinations and shots that you make mandatory for traveling and things like that, and control them and make them anxious and depressed and agitated, and they didn't take that and fucking run with it like the wind, bitch? Hello? Like, hello. Hello, hello, hello. That's why our fucking water tastes so weird and so off, and all of our food is full of so many preservatives and chemicals and bullshit. They found out they can pump us full of things and then just label it natural seasoning, natural flavors, whatever the fuck, perfume, fragrance. They have so many ways they hide things that we don't know about. Food, water, Coca Cola, beer, liquor, cigarettes, medical treatments, vaccination, shots. At least. At least. And I've already shared with y'all about the whole me finding the stuff about how they've been putting vaccinations in lettuce and tomatoes and God knows what else for God knows how long. That part at least has already been proven, and you don't know what's vaccinated and what's not. You don't know if that head of lettuce you just bought's full of vaccine. You don't know how much vaccine's in there. It's not regulated. None of it is. There's no way to know it's in there unless you're like a microbiologist and you have like a fucking microscope that could somehow show. I don't even know if that would show up under a microscope on a lettuce leaf. I don't even know. I don't even think there is a way to track some of this shit. Like, while there are literally hundreds of chemicals or drugs that affect the mental processes of an individual, many of these chemicals or drugs could be eliminated by individuals having special knowledge in the chemical/drug field. It is known that the Army Chemical Warfare Service has made exhaustive studies along these lines, and perhaps they could furnish us with many specific answers. Fuck the Army Chemical Warfare Service. I called what part of that? What was it? The Aberdeen Proving Ground, where part of the army is testing on crazy shit. I called them and yelled at them and called them, what was it? Muggle-headed chuckle fucks, I think it was. That was pretty iconic. That was one of my favorite calls I've done so far for Operation Anthill Oracle. But like, I'm telling you, every branch of the military is complicit in this shit. They all are evil. Every single one of them. I hate the military. I hate cops. I hate politics and politicians. They're all stupid. They're all committing war crimes against humanity and have been since at least the 1950s, if not the 1920s or earlier. mm. I hate all of these pathetic, weak-willed men. Men like Redacted could undoubtedly give pertinent information if they could be properly approached. And it says BC, or B with an arrow next to it for the Redacted, which is interesting because all that top page was A's next to it. And it says 2, gauges, aerosols, etc. It is felt that an exhaustive study should be made of various gases and aerosols that would be effective in artichoke work. That's reminding me of Operation Lack and Operation Sea Spray, where they were spraying stuff over us in the skies to see how it would do, because they wanted to know what would happen if a foreign agent tried to come and poison us. They wanted to know how that would spread. So they had to poison us first, obviously. And then they investigated themselves and found nothing. Because, of course, that happens every single time any of these men investigate themselves in any part of power. They never find anything, because why would they? They're investigating themselves. Duh. There's another, I don't remember if it was an operation or a psyop or just something that was like done and then documented at some point, but there was something about the CIA or the FBI or something taking aerosolized or aerosolizers in suitcases to airports and deploying them in the airports and seeing how that would affect people. And I think there was another one where they did something similar with light bulbs in subways, but don't quote me on that. And they were seeing how it would like disperse if they brought in something like that. They've done a lot of really crazy shit with aerosols and chemtrails and all kinds of sprays and poisons and gases and ooh. Oh, it said gases, not gauges, my bad. Let's see. Also, a study should be made of the effects of oxygen or other similar type deficiencies. So not only are they trying to poison us, they're trying to take away our oxygen, which really makes me think of the weird sky fog that I've been documenting with y'all that's still outside right now. That's been here for over a week at this point, day and night where I live in Texas, and it has not gone away at all. Like, it's been in the sky every single day. They're not normal clouds. It's literally just a haze that blocks everything out. It smells weird. It gave me a really bad headache one day. It smelled like farts another day. It felt just like sticky and weird on my skin, like something in it was trying to cling to me and like crawl in through my pores is the feeling I was getting. It's totally connected to all of this. In this connection, gas guns, jets, or sprays, both concealed or open, should be studied. In addition, the problem of possible permanent brain injury and amnesias following lack of oxygen or exposure to other gases should be examined. See related problems below. Pathetic. Pathetic, weak willed, wormy men. And then the bottom of that page and the top of the next is redacted. I don't understand why they redacted that. Maybe that means that's not the right number. I don't know, but it does go from 2 to 3, so that does seem correct. I don't know why they would redact that though if it's just the page number. 3, high and low pressures. The effects of high and low pressures on individuals should be examined as a possible basis for artichoke work. I wonder how they would implement that. Like, unless they're putting us in a vacuum, I don't know if they can mess with the pressures of things. 4, sound. The writer has been unable to obtain any worthwhile information on studies in this field that would apply specifically to the Artichoke program. However, it is felt that a considerable amount of research could profitably be expended in the field of sound. This research should include the effect on human beings of various types of vibrations, monotonous sounds, concussion, ultra high frequency, ultrasonics, the effect of constantly repeated words, sounds, continuous suggestion, non rhythmic sounds, whispering, etc. That goes directly with what I was just talking about with y'all earlier and the false matrix grid that they've put us under, and how I think there's a bunch of frequencies we can't hear and things going on in the background and subliminals and shit like that. Because they've studied subliminals and hypnosis and suggestions and stuff like that since the 1950s. You really think they figured that out? And then they were like, nah, we actually don't want to control the masses. That's actually, it's too easy making you guys subservient little complicit capitalist slaves to the systems. It's everything. It's the food, it's the water, it's the vibrations and the frequencies going on in the background. That's why we all have psychosis and depression and anxiety. It's not because we're actually depressed and anxious, it's because they're enforcing it on us. They are literally forcing us to feel a negative way with all of the chemicals they're pumping us full of and the sounds they're pumping us full of and the frequencies they're distorting around us. Because everything is energy and frequency and they know it. That was like the main basis of the analysis and assessment of the gateway process. Like, ugh, ugh. 5, bacteria, plant culture, fungi, poisons of various types, etc. That also goes to Operation Lack and Operation Sea Spray because they were spraying a bunch of different types of poisons and plants. I think it was like some type of mushroom or something that they had sprayed on us and a couple different things. That's crazy. This field may conceivably be valuable in that these media are capable of producing illnesses which in turn would produce high fevers, delirium, etc. It is also well known that species of the mushroom produce a certain type of intoxication and mental derangement. While this type of or group of subjects is closely related to one in above, drugs, it is conceivable that they could be handled as a different type of research. And then there's a really weird blank and it says /BE, almost like it was whited out, but I don't know what that could mean or be about. Let's see, what is that? 6, diet and dietary deficiencies. This important subject has not been properly explored from the point of view of the artichoke work. The removal of certain basic food elements such as sugar, starch, calcium, vitamins, proteins, etc., from the food of an individual over a certain period of time will produce psychological and physical reactions in an individual. A study should be made to determine whether or not the removal of certain food elements from the diet of prisoners over a given period of time will materially condition them for artichoke work. I need to sit with this for a second. Because as part of my work having a bachelor's in criminal justice, I was a juvenile correctional officer once upon a time. And that just really makes me think to all of the shitty food they served, and the shitty food they serve in schools, and the shitty food they serve to military members. They're literally experimenting on how it fucks with you to have poor quality food that's not actually nourishing your body. And they know it. They know the effects that it does to pump you full of seed oils and high amounts of sugar and sodium and whatever other chemicals and shit they are choosing to put in these foods that they serve to children, to the military that they're also experimenting on, to literal prisoners. Like, the whole point of being a prisoner is you did a crime, so you're doing time in jail for it. You shouldn't be experimented on and treated as less than like an animal, like a control, like a fucking subject in an experiment, because you are serving your time for a crime you committed. You are already incapacitated. You are already being punished. You should not be being punished further while you're being punished and you're incarcerated. Oh, it's all to further keep up the fucking military industrial complex and the prison system and the education to prison pipeline that especially is specifically targets minorities and people of color, because those are the people with a lot of powers and stuff like that. And most of those kids that were in that prison had high ACEs scores, and that was one of the first things we were told in our training, was that those kids were super traumatized, and that's why most of them were there, because most of them were either foster kids or they had abusive parents or they were like assaulted as kids or forced to steal food to not die and starve because they didn't have caregivers or their caregivers were neglecting them. They were scared kids trying to survive, and they were imprisoned for it, and we know that. Like, they told us, I think it was, I don't remember the statistic that it was, but most of those kids had really high ACEs scores. I wanna say it was, like, above a 5 or a 6, maybe even an 8. If I'm remembering it wrong, I'm sorry. But I also remember reading something about if you have a ACEs score over, like, a 2 or a 3 or something like that, you're basically promised a shitty life where like you're going to have some sort of chronic illness, you're going to trap a bunch of like emotions and stuff in your body, you're going to go through a lot of trauma and attract a lot of negativity and like bad experiences to yourself because of your ACEs score, because you don't know how to operate from an open heart center and you're highly traumatized, and so the world is coming at you and trying to traumatize you more. This pisses me off on a level that I cannot like begin to vocalize to you guys, that they are taking, I mean, regardless of all the other communities that they have terrorized, that they are taking some vulnerable populations who are literally behind bars, unable to escape from this. Because at least, like, at least me, I can, like, not go outside in the poison fog, whatever the fuck, but, like, if I'm behind bars, I have to eat the poison food to survive. I mean, even out here, I kind of have to because I don't have the ability to grow my own food where I'm at, but, like, I just, this is a different level. The fact that people can willingly, knowingly do this to other human beings, I will genuinely never be able to understand. This is the lowest, most pathetic, inhumane thing that should have you locked up and tortured every single second of the rest of your life. Like, this, you should not be allowed to be a member of society if you can operate with this as your baseline, knowingly, willingly causing harm to the population around you. I'm gonna take a second and go cool down and go pee really quick. So I will be right back. Y'all keep my chair nice and warm for me and stare at my unmade bed. The rest of my room is clean, I promise, but I didn't care about making my bed. I will be right back. All right. World's fastest piss. I'm back. All right, let's get back into it, friends. Highly spiced food and extremely salty foods are constantly reported in intelligence reports in connection with interrogation. Spicy and salty. The spicy I get because I know capsaicin really fucks with you and like your pain receptors, but salty? That's that makes me wonder if that's got anything to do with the high levels of sodium in everything that they try to serve us. Let's see. While it is probable that this is solely to produce thirst, research may show it has other effects. Oh, okay. So they're trying to make them super thirsty. Well, wait, it dehydrates them. Salt dehydrates you, and it also doesn't it do something to like your blood-brain barrier or some shit like that? Like it has some other effects on your body other than just dehydrating you that are like super negative when you intake enough of it. In this connection, it is conceivably possible that if certain dietary deficiencies produce advantageous results from an artichoke point of view, specially canned foods having elements removed could be manufactured or prepared for individuals held in custody. So it's canned foods too, is what I get from that. It's canned foods too. It's Coke, beer, liquor, cigarettes. I don't remember what else they said, and all canned food. Literally nothing we eat is safe at this point, or drink. Anything we consume in our bodies, I don't think is safe anymore. Especially if you're in custody in any amount, or a military member in any respect, or just a member of the general populace, methinks. 7. Electroshock. This subject has been discussed at considerable length and is still considered a controversial matter. Whether or not its use is a positive weapon for gaining information from or control of an individual, or whether it is another third degree method, does not seem clearly established to the writer. They're definitely using it as a fucking weapon and a torture method. What do you mean? The foreign intelligence reports seem to reflect that electroshock, when used by the Soviets or their satellites, hello, Elon Musk's Starlink, electroshock from space in the 1950s, is primarily a third degree method. We have been unable to find any indications that electroshock has been used to gain information from or control of an individual directly. I do not believe that. I do not believe that one bit. I also don't think it's the Soviets doing this. I think it's America. Because every single time I see that, it really seems like they're just trying to pass off the blame, the same way that Trump and this administration is trying to pass the blame off on like literally anybody and everybody else and will not take accountability in any way, shape, or form. I think that's the exact same thing here because that was another thing in the analysis and assessment of the gateway process I read with y'all. They mentioned the USSR a lot, and they mentioned them having access to global weather modification since at least the 1920s and 30s. I think that means we, the Americans, and the CIA and FBI and all of their other stupid lettered agencies had access to it, and we were trying to blame it on another country. Because again, 800 military bases across the world is what we got. Other countries don't even come close. We have the world's largest military. And I think the largest amount of like lettered agencies that operate in secrecy and funkiness like this in the CIA and shit. The writer has been able to has been unable to find anywhere that the electroshock coma has been used as a means of obtaining hypnotic control of an individual. That's a weird thing to mention if you haven't found anything on that. Electroshock coma. Whether an individual will reveal information as a result of electroshock or while in an electroshock coma has not as yet been demonstrated to the writer and the writer to date has found no literature in this connection. I don't buy that. The low-powered electroshock found on the common electroshock machine is a third degree method apparently. I don't know what it means with the different degrees of methods. If that like the first degree doesn't work, then you go to the second degree and that doesn't work, you go to the third degree. Whether electroshock can produce controlled amnesias does not appear to be established, except in the time area immediately surrounding the electroshock treatment, and although it is possible that severe or sustained electroshock may produce a vegetable, it is doubted if the agency will support this activity. So they're trying to put people in electroshock comas and make them vegetables. That's crazy to use that terminology when you're talking about torturing information out of people. Holy shit, I hate these men. The writer can find no information of electroshock treatments being applied to normal individuals for purely experimental purposes. And then it looks like it says page 3 and it's redacted underneath it. And also the top of the next page. Again, I don't understand why the tops and bottoms of the pages are redacted if it's just supposed to be page numbers. But it maybe makes me think that it had some sort of number that corresponds to some other part of an archive or something like that. This field should be examined by the medical staff. Let's see. What is that? 8? I gotta get get retrained again in my Roman numerals. Electronarcosis, electro-sleep inducing machines. What? This field should be thoroughly explored. Whoa, just got a really weird download there. The moon? The moon. They're bouncing something off the moon. And the fake sun. Because that's not our normal sun. I've seen enough videos of people getting 2 suns at the same time, and our normal yellow-orange sun is the one in the background, and the white one is the one in the front. Like, that's crazy. This field should be thoroughly explored. The idea of attaining a sleep or sleep-like coma or a narcosis by electronics would appear to have a great deal of merit from an artichoke point of view. The writer has been told that there are electronic sleep-inducing machines that are of the non-shock, non-painful variety. So, in at least the 1950s, they had access to machines that could electrically induce sleep without shock and without pain. So, my narcoleptic friends, maybe you don't have an issue. Maybe you're being targeted by the CIA. Half joking, but not really. And also, it's underlined that are of the non shock, non painful variety. So, they want to emphasize that and let you know they have ways of doing this that I don't think we can tell. If it's not painful and there's no shock, how would we know? Other than just getting tired all of a sudden and being unmotivated to do whatever it was we were doing, losing motivation to speak up against something or testify against something or go out and do something that's going to have a positive impact. They can just hit you with that. What is it? The space satellite from the USSR. It's non-painful and non-shocking. Another weird throat chakra block there. No, shut the fuck up. One of these was reported to be in use at the University of Richmond Hospital, Richmond, Virginia. That's a weird. I just went a couple months ago. I went on a trip with my best friend up to Virginia to Fort Monroe, the Star Fort, because it was his brother's wedding up there too. And I also wanted to see Fort Monroe because that's where they brought the slaves over. I think they found them here. I think the slaves were the people who originally had this land populated along with the Native Americans and the mound builders, and they were the ones who built these temple buildings and all of these capitol buildings that have domes and spires and columns and look like Greek temples. I think it was from the slaves, aka the people of color who were originally here building all of this stuff, and then they said, "Oh, we just built that for the World's Fair out of plaster and horsehair. We totally didn't steal that from the natives that were here and then enslave them and then incarcerate them because we made enslaving them illegal, so we just chose to incarcerate them and have it be legal slavery, where we still in some states have them go pick cotton for us while the cops supervise them and they're prisoners. It's literal slavery." But so yeah, Fort Monroe is connected to this crazy shout out tie together. Details, however, are lacking. Whether or not the machine is dangerous is unknown, but if an electronically induced sleep could be obtained and that sleep used as a means for gaining hypnotic control of an individual, this apparatus might be of extreme value to the artichoke work. What was that? 9, lobotomy and brain surgery. And then oh, it does. It has whited out spots here where it's not blacked out. It's just missing. So they must have used like whiteout and then photocopied it into the digital archives. That's so weird though. I don't know why they white out some of it and then they redact some of it with the black scratches. I don't know if that's a difference. But these have little A's next to them as well. It says the writer of this is of the opinion that the agency, under no circumstances, would consider this type of thing as an operative measure. I don't buy that at all. However, it is felt that the subject could be examined by the medical staff to ascertain whether value or whatever value it may have, and whether or not the Soviets could be using this technique as a weapon. Again, they're trying to pawn all of this shit off on the Soviets. So we go, look over there! The Soviets are doing bad stuff, instead of going, look at all the fucked up shit the CIA and FBI has been doing. Holy shit. Redacted, or whited out, a medical consultant of the agency in the field of psychiatry might be valuable in this connection. Whited out certainly would know Whited out, who is regarded as an authority in this field and who resides in Washington, D.C. This field should be examined by the medical staff. 10. Light, possible effect of color, etc. This totally goes along with capitalism and the colors like the big arches at McDonald's and stuff like that. This totally goes along with all that and the LEDs and the rapid flicker rate that I was telling you about, that they induce psychosis and depression and anxiety in us compared to incandescents and stuff like that. Yep, I told y'all they know. I told y'all they knew since at least the 1950s. It's not a coincidence that everything has LED lights in it now. You can literally see it if you record. Next time y'all are out, record an LED light with your phone, especially if it's like car headlights, and then watch it back. Or slow it down if you can't see anything on it normally. Slow it down and you'll see it going like a party light. The effects of glaring lights upon an individual are well known and have been a standard police procedure for years. ACAB. By the same token, the use of white walls in connection with glaring lights appears to be another standard technique. Huh. Is that why all our walls are painted white now and we're not allowed to have colors and all the apartments make us paint everything the same ugly, like off-white white? Paired with the LEDs, they're literally forcing us to go crazy in these little tiny boxes of white and light. And they know it. While these and related techniques should be studied, the writer is of the opinion that special research should be conducted to determine the effect of long and continuous exposure of individuals to infrared and ultraviolet light. Some work might possibly be done involving opaque walls or walls upon which shadow movies could be projected. Also, the effects of colors upon individuals might be worthy of research as a conditioning mechanism. The colors of McDonald's, the red and yellow, that's a conditioning mechanism. They know the effects all these colors have on our brain. The shadow movies being projected on opaque walls is insane. That reminds me of Project Bluebeam. There's something else that my brain is pinging out with all of this. Infrared and ultraviolet light. It has something to do with them banning lead paint as well. That's coming through. I don't know what else is trying to come through here though. But there's a bigger connection there to be made between all of that. What is that? 11, psychological problems. There are a great many psychological techniques that could be used in connection with the artichoke work. Many of these techniques are well known and have been used by clinical psychologists, psychiatrists, and interrogators for a long time. It may be found that certain of these techniques, particularly if applied in reverse, would be highly advantageous to successful artichoke operations. Among the psychological problems that might be considered for study would be moving or vibrating rooms is A. B. Distorted rooms. C. The deliberate creation of an anxiety condition. I'm telling you, they made us anxious. We're not naturally supposed to have anxiety and depression. They are enforcing this shit upon us with whatever means possible. They are forcing anxiety orders onto us. We are not supposed to have anxiety disorders. And my throat chakra's going there again. D, the creation of panic, fear, or the exploitation of established phobias, etc. I think that ties to, what was it? How I've been talking to you guys about how I think my fears of falling from high places, underwater, and the dark are not my own. I don't think those are my fears. I think those fears have been implanted in us to keep us from places of power, where we are most powerful, where our energy is really connected to stuff. Because it seems like we're supposed to be connected to the ocean way more deeply than we currently are, and we've been kind of forced out of it. It reminds me of Atlantis and stuff like that. Or I think we used to be able to fly. I think that's why things like the Vimanas and stuff like that exist. I think we used to have flying cities and we used to be able to fly, and that's why a lot of us dream of flying and stuff like that. I think that's just one of the powers we normally have when we're not having anxiety and depression and zoochosis and all of this enforced upon us constantly. And to be fed all of these chemicals and all of these things that lower our vibrations and keep our systems dense and heavy. E, the effect of heat and cold. F, the effect of dampness, dryness, or saturated or dry air, which also makes me think of the weird fog and how sticky it feels out there. It's not humidity, I promise you. I lived in Florida for years. I have felt very humid air. That's not humidity, it's chemicals. G, the general problem of disorientation, zoochosis, I think. H, completely soundproof areas. Ooh, I think that's also weaponized in combination with distorting frequencies. 12, electronics, general. Scalar interference, Tesla watches, black mirrors in our phone screen. There are many electronic devices of various types that may be important from an artichoke point of view. For example, can the electroencephalograph be used as a device for detecting certain types of treatment that individuals have been subjected to? Interesting. Interesting. So they're talking about being able to monitor what the weird stuff they've done to us is. So I wonder if there is a way to see. Because like I said earlier, there's not really, as far as I know, I don't think there's a way to tell what heads of lettuce and tomatoes have been vaccinated or sprayed with all this stuff, unless maybe you can do something like this, or you are a microbiologist. I'm not sure. Um, what is it with the throat? Does an electroencephalograph reflect electroshock treatments or head injury or drugging? Good question. Does an electroencephalograph reflect whether or not an individual is under hypnosis? Can an electroencephalograph be used to affirmatively establish whether an amnesia has been produced? And then again, the top and bottom of these pages, I think pretty much every one of these pages at the top and bottom has a little bit of redaction underneath the page number. Ooh, I hate this one. I hate this one. 13, hypno spray. It would be a great advantage if a small, effective hypno spray device could be designed along the lines of a fountain pen. What? 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 Oh, what? Because if they were talking about it in the 1950s, you know they've already weaponized it against us. The aerosolized suitcases and the light bulbs weren't enough for them. Operation Lock and Operation Sea Spray wasn't bad enough for them. They had to weaponize fountain pens. Is every pen a chemical weapon? Because our receipts are, they contain bisphenol and God knows what else that's poisoning us and lowering our fertility rates and fucking with our hormone imbalances or causing our hormone imbalances and God knows what else and giving us cancer every time we touch them, and we're expected to touch them like all day, every day, just to go out and get like food for ourselves and shit. God forbid a cashier. Holy shit. Holy shit. Like, I was a Walmart cashier at one time too. I've worked like fucking every job at this point, I swear to God. But like, I was a Walmart cashier touching fucking receipts all day, every day. Like, hypno sprays in fountain pens. This, of course, would necessarily have to include some effective chemical or drug that could be used in this connection with the hypnospray. This would be a very valuable weapon. I hate this. I'm so tired of these men. 14, Scheintot pistol? I don't know how to say that right. It's Scheintot. Scheintot. I'm German, but not that German. Set out immediately below is an excerpt from the publication entitled Lucian Carry on Guns. Fawcett, Book 110, article entitled Gadget Guns Mean Murder, page 122. Guns shooting tear gas were made in this country between the two world wars, and many police departments bought them. One type was hardly intended for police use since it was no bigger than a fountain pen and was made to look like one. I told y'all if they mentioned it, they already made it. I fucking called it. I've been so on point with every single fucking thing because it's all fucking connected. During World War II, the Germans made what they called Scheintop pistols. The German word literally means appearance of death. The appearance of death pistols used a gas that renders a man unconscious as quickly as holding an ether cone over his nose. And that sentence was all underlined. This device should be run down. The writer would like to know the effective range of this weapon, the type of gas used, and how long the coma condition lasts. Because it wasn't bad enough we brought the Nazi scientists over and did all of the weird stuff with them. The writer knows that Lucian Carey is a well-known authority on guns and has written extensively on such weapons. That's so frustrating. And then it's got more redacted and the letter A next to it at the bottom. That's so just like they've weaponized bugs against us because there was a psyop I read where they weaponized mosquitoes, they've weaponized ticks, they've weaponized gases, they've weaponized the air, they've weaponized the water, they've weaponized the food, they've weaponized the frequency. Like at this point, I don't think there's a thing they haven't weaponized. That's the end of that 7-page one. So now we're on to the 8-page one. And we're gonna see what this has for us. This is the last one that I originally had for y'all, and then I found that, what is it, the 98-page one? Honestly, we're like an hour and a half into this. We might say fuck it and just go through that 98 pages and see how, just run through it with y'all. Depending on how my throat is doing with all of this. I want to look through this 8-page one really quick before I read it and see if anything's missing though. Let's see. It does say confidential on all of them. Does it give us a page number? Not really. Okay, so that's page 1. There we go. Page 2. What? And then it jumps to page 10 and then 11 and then 12 and then 13 and then 14. So we are missing, what is it, from page, whoa, don't do that. We're missing from page 2 to page 10, which by my count, that's 8 pages. But it's crazy because the page right in between 2 and 10 says next 6 pages in document exempt, and it has a big strike through line. And then it says 25X1C at the top, which is again calling me back to that FOIA log requesting, where I wonder if we mention these acronyms in that 25X1C, if we can see the 8 pages that they took out of this that are supposed to be 8 pages that they say is only 6. But yeah, it says confidential and it's missing 8 pages. So noted, again, this is now the second document that we have found that has been missing pages. And this one, the count is wrong that they try to tell us, so they're trying to lie about it, which is super sketchy if you don't have anything to hide, which they obviously do with the things we're reading about. They have a lot to hide. It says confidential at the top of all of these, and it says approved for release 5/1/2002. And this is from, I'm guessing 1950s or 1970s because it's more artichoke stuff. So that means it was 30 to 50 years it took to declassify this stuff. That's crazy. Let's see. And then at the bottom, it's got more weird acronyms. It says E2IMPDET CL by 063344. And it doesn't look like it has that on the bottom of anything but that first page. So I think that's another acronym that means something really weird, but I don't know what that means. And then it's also got on the side, it's got another little acronym thingy that I think we can FOIA log request that says 25X1A. And then it also has scribbled in cursive, what does it pertain to is what it looks like. It's really small font, but that looks like what it says. Okay, let's get into this one, these 8 pages. Description of newly discovered Project Artichoke / Bluebird materials. Introduction. In conducting an overall review of the agency's records control schedules, inventories of documents and storage at the agency's archives whited out were provided to the various agency offices for review. On 15 August 1977, the inventory of the agency's Office of Security archival material was reviewed, and the existence of 18 cartons of documents was held in archives under the caption Project Artichoke was revealed. So they had at least 18 cartons of documents on this shit, and then who knows how many boxes they destroyed that it mentioned in one of the other documents that we read. So holy shit, I think it even said something about hundreds of experiments that they did on these people with this. So we genuinely have no idea how large this project is. Cuz that's that's an insane scale. That's an absolutely insane scale. It was further ascertained that unlike those materials stored within the agency's retired records center, also located whited out, the Office of Securities holdings underlined for some reasons within archives are not retrievable through the Office of Security primary index system. Oh, all of that was underlined, actually. Wait, why? The Office of Security's holdings within the archives aren't retrievable through their primary index system. So they're withholding the information that you should be able to retrieve from their index system, but you can't. So they're hiding things, then they're hiding things, then they're destroying things, then they're going behind the agency's back and doing things in back doors. And these men know no ends. These wormy, pathetic, slimy, vile men know no ends. This is ridiculous. Ayo. Thus, these records were not found during the 1975/1976 congressional and Rockefeller investigations. Rockefellers! The 18 cartons were immediately brought to the headquarters for review, and a determination as to what, if any, records existed pertaining to Project Artichoke/Bluebird, which had not previously been furnished to either the Rockefeller Commission or congressional committees during their inquiries into the agency's research and experimentation with drugs. The review has now been substantially completed and reflects that approximately 14 linear feet of Project Artichoke/Bluebird material was contained within the 18 cartons retrieved from the archives. What? How do you go from measuring it in cartons to measuring it in linear feet? How much is a linear foot? Oh, well, no, that's just a foot. What? What? What does that even mean? 14 linear feet was found within the 18 cartons. Like, you take all the papers and why would you, what? It's such a dumb, okay. The remaining material in the cartons does not pertain to these two projects or any other facet of the agency's research and experimentation with drugs. I don't buy that. The review of the newly discovered materials failed to reveal any information which would contradict or change the scope of that information previously furnished to the investigating bodies. In essence, the newly discovered material contains working papers and file material that merely provides more detail than had previously been available, and that was all underlined. The material as contained within the cartons retrieved from archives was not assembled in any particular fashion. Thus, the task force reviewing this material divided the documents into 7 basic categories. A summary and description of each category follows. 1. Background literature on behavior control and drugs of interest to Project Artichoke/Bluebird. The documents in this collection, in effect, constitute the library for the Artichoke/Bluebird project. The bulk of this material consists of periodical archives and reprints of scientific monographs pertaining to behavior control and the effects and characteristics of drugs. It includes a number of bibliographies on subjects such as drugs, interrogation and interviewing techniques, lie detectors, hypnotism, and brainwashing. That's crazy. So they're not even just doing hypnotism, they're doing brainwashing, which really is giving Men in Black was more of them telling us the truth in media and not a lie, that they really do have those neural erasers or whatever the fuck they're called, where they put on their sunglasses and they go, now look here, click. And then it's like an LED strobe light that brain wipes you. Which, yeah, because they mentioned the fountain pens with the fucking hypno gas or whatever, so it's not that crazy to have a pen that can hypno gas you and then a little laser beam light that brainwashes you. There are folders on specific drugs and chemical agents such as Rauwolfia, Serpentina, Maritran, Mitrazole, Mescaline, etc., together with several folders on non-drug related fields of behavior control, such as ESP, electroshock therapy, prefrontal lobotomy, and schizophrenia. I think they induce all of these things on us. I don't think humans naturally have schizophrenia or amnesia or anxiety or depression or any of these mental illnesses. I think they're forced on us either to experiment on us or because they're like blanketing some sort of weird mind control or they're targeting individuals or whatever the fuck. Like, this is literally telling us how they induce these symptoms and these illnesses on other people. Wild shit. Included within the collection are a number of classified memoranda, studies, and intelligence reports. The classified memoranda were largely produced by the agency and concern the chemical analyses of various drugs, attempts to collect specimens of various drugs, and discussions with non-CIA experts, which is again making me think back to the Epstein files talking about scopolamine and trumpet flowers. The classified studies were produced by both the agency and the Department of Defense. For example, the agency's Office of Scientific Research produced a study entitled Strategic Medical Significance of Lysergic Acid Diethylamine. There are several U.S. Army studies on psychological warfare as well as intelligence reports concerning foreign drug research, such as psychiatric research in Czechoslovakia and use of stimulants in the Soviet armed forces. Again, they keep trying to blame the Czech people and the Soviet Russia and shit like that. They really like trying to pass it off on any other country but us. Information related to the agency's drug testing / interrogation activities involving human subjects. A comparison of this material to that which was previously provided again shows that in general, the newly discovered documents merely contain additional details concerning such activity rather than significant changes to our previous understanding of the agency's use of drugs on humans. Some of this material does, however, contain additional detail which warrants highlighting in this report. And then that's when we have those 8 pages missing. Which is crazy because we know they're like, it starts with a run-on sentence. Shut up. Oh my god, shut up. I just saw a little bit ahead. Oh my god. I was right. The files are connected, methinks. So it just starts with a run-on sentence. To 1946 with various drugs believed to aid in interrogation. So they've been doing this since at least the 40s then, because I thought it was the 50s. It's actually the 40s. And if you go back to the gateway process, 20s and 30s is when they really started bumping shit. The information relates to several experiments on approximately 88 witting American citizens using drugs such as benzodrine, caffeine, scopolamine, like I was just telling y'all is in the Epstein files with the trumpet flowers. It's in the CIA's declassified documents too. Alcohol and tetracannabinol acetate. So, yeah, alcohol and caffeine are drugs that they use to purposely fuck us up as well. Yup. That's why the alcohol industry is trying to lobby against cannabis, because that opens up your brain and your third eye and all your neural pathways, and alcohol dumbs it down and makes you this easy to experiment on. A June 1943 OSS memorandum refers to various experiments with U.S. military volunteers using mescaline, cannabis, indica, and tetrahydrocannabinol acetate. I'm sorry, I butchered that. This memorandum also mentions an unwitting test in 1943 on a notorious New York gangster by one of the OSS researchers. What fucking gangster did they unwittingly test on in 1943? That's insane. What? Also, using cannabis and indica and scopolamine and mescaline and caffeine and alcohol. It's all poison. It's all poison. Everything is poison. All the food is poison. 3, hypnosis. Oh, wait a second. Where does it? Oh, yo, wait a second. So all of those 8 pages were from part 2 of their information related to the agency's drug testing / interrogation activities involving human subjects. That's all from part 2. And then we have those 8 missing pages, and then it goes on to part 3, hypnosis, after that little section that I just read y'all, starting with that run-on sentence. I wonder what else it said other than scopolamine and caffeine and alcohol and cannabis and testing unwittingly on gangsters in New York. Fuck. 3, hypnosis. Another category of the newly discovered material is a collection of files, films, and tapes concerning hypnotism. The material indicates a strong interest, but little, if any, operational use of this medium. I don't buy that. A great deal of reference material was studied and analyzed, various authorities were consulted, and several agency employees were trained in the art of hypnotism. Yeah, because why would you train them if it does nothing? A program of hypnosis testing and experimentation was conducted between 1951 and 1954 using volunteer agency employees as subjects. An interim report in 1954 regarding these tests states that the tests were neither of sufficient complexity nor conducted under the hazardous conditions necessary to warrant extravagant claims for operational use. However, there were strong indications of the potential of hypnotism as an offensive and defensive aid. What? There are also indications of research and experimentation into disguised induction of hypnosis through mechanical means, e.g., polygraph, audiometer, EKG, etc. EKGs, bro, those are for monitoring your heart. I've done one of those. So they can do whatever they want. They can hypnotize you through like any means, is what I'm hearing. Which also is weirdly throwing me back. There's another video I archived of a woman talking about, I think this was also mentioned in the files, but maybe not. But talking about some sort of, she went in for like, her GP was telling her that she might have cervical cancer and that they were like super worried about it. And they wanted her to come in because they thought it was like urgent and she was gonna die or something crazy from it. And they were like really pressuring her to come in for a pap smear so that they could get like a look at this. And then she went in and she said she felt no pain, but it felt like a part of her soul got taken out whenever it happened. And there was, she said that there was a device that was placed inside of her uterus and that she can to this day feel it inside of there. And she's tried to take it out and she can't, but it vibrates. She said it was they put something in there and then they immediately tested her and were like, no, everything's fine. You actually don't have cancer. We were wrong. Send you on your way. It's fine. Like, what are they doing to our bodies? If they can do all of, like, what? What are they doing to our women? What are they doing to our wombs? What are they doing to our fertility rates? This is all so vile and so dark and so connected, you guys. 4. Planning, administration, budget, materials. This collection consists of material which provides information on the planning, organization, and management of Artichoke / Bluebird. The budgetary data is very sparse, sure, consisting of the proposed initial budget of $65,515, weirdly specific amount, the table of organization for the technical research staff, TRS, for 1952, and the proposed budget for FY 1953, which I think is fiscal year 1953. So that's crazy. They allegedly had a budget of $65,515. That's really, really weird to me to mention that. Also really weird, the Pentagon's never passed an audit. They've misplaced trillions of our taxpayer dollars all going to programs like this. It's all connected. And that other paper, that other one that we just read, also mentioned how the writer had a guy like that wasn't connected to this directly but was indirectly connected to this, who said he would happily finance this stuff and had a connections that could get him insider information and insider access. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. TRS, also referred to as Unit B. Weird. I wonder if that has anything to do with tab A or C or whatever it was we read on that other document as well. Apparently was responsible for Bluebird research and operations and had a table of organization of 4 in 1952 and received approval for a table of organization of 6 in 1953. So the year after they added 2 people to it. This project appears to have started in early 1950. The project name was changed from Bluebird to Artichoke in August 1951, and that's underlined. The new material correlates closely to that information previously furnished. The project received guidance from at least mid-1951 through 1953 from the Bluebird / Artichoke Committee, which at various times was represented by the Office of Scientific Intelligence, OSI, Office of Special Operations, Office of Policy Coordination, Inspection and Security Office, I&SO, the Technical Services Staff, and the Office of Medical Services. The project was initially under the cognizance of OSI, but responsibility was transferred to I&SO in October 1952. Unlike MKUltra, it does not appear that large sums were spent on external research. I don't buy that. Also, that's by default saying they spent a shit ton of money on MKUltra, which came after this, like we just learned. So it was Bluebird, then Artichoke, then MKUltra, methinks. And they were just making it worse and worse and worse and upping it and upping it and upping it and doing it on bigger and bigger and bigger populations. Yeah, yeah. There are several documents proposing various external research projects, but there is no indication that they were approved. It appears that project personnel, in lieu of sponsored research, depended instead on obtaining the results of research sponsored by others. So, yeah, sponsored by outside sources, like we just read in that other document, so that they don't have to let us FOIA log request it. They don't have to declassify the information. If they have files on it, we've already learned they're hoarding the files. They're hoarding the data that they gather from this and keeping it out of the public eye because they don't want us to know all the ways that they're controlling and manipulating and hypnotizing us and putting us in, what was it, electroshock comas with no pain or no shock. Wild. Electroshock pens, poison guns, crazy shit. 5. Personnel. This collection consists of 2 boxes of personality files on individuals who were of interest to Project Bluebird/Artichoke, many of whom were later of interest to Project MKUltra. There is a total of 357 folders in this collection. So that puts us up to almost 1,000 people at least, because the other one also mentioned several hundred, right? Or like 500 or something like that. Many other names of individuals of interest to Bluebird/Artichoke are contained in the individual folders, as well as appearing throughout the entire collection of newly found material. How do they decide who's of interest? Do they just go, your country's working on solar energy, we're gonna MKUltra you. You're Martin Luther King Jr., we're gonna MKUltra you. You're trying to destroy capitalism in any concept, we're gonna MKUltra you. You're trying to go do things not the JP Morgan stupid standard bank American petrodollar way, we're gonna MKUltra you. That's what this is giving. In the main, but that doesn't make sense. In the main, these individuals are doctors, psychiatrists, chemists, and hypnotists who were doing work or were acknowledged as experts in areas of interest to Bluebird/Artichoke. So does that mean that they were taking these doctors who were doing all of this and these people in these fields and experimenting on them, or that they were employing them to be the ones carrying out the experimentation of Project Bluebird and Artichoke and MKUltra? I don't quite understand that part, but that's really weird. That also really just gives anyone in any field, especially if you're a top professional, you're probably paid off by one of these agencies to spread misinformation and do things that are negatively impacting the collective on a daily basis. Also included are officials of other US government agencies, such as NIH, FDA, and the US military. Okay, so I think this is people they were experimenting on then in that case, especially if they're talking about all of that. The review of this material is only partially complete, and the total number of names which appear throughout this material has not been determined. However, the material has not been found to contain the names of any individuals who were the subjects of any drug or hypnosis experiments. To date, the review has established that while these individuals were doing work of interest to Bluebird/Artichoke, it is impossible to determine from the material in the files if any of this work was actually being financed by the agency. Okay, wait, so I don't think they were experimenting on them then, I think they were paying them off to experiment for them, and that they were definitely being financed by the agency and lots of other outside players that had money and wanted to get skin in the game on learning how to hypnotize and control the populations. There are references to work that was being financed by MKUltra, but these references are to information picked up in conversations among agency officials, and no documents which would spell out details of such financing have been noted. Yeah, probably because they destroyed them in the shit that they fucking destroyed, that we learned about boxes of information being destroyed. Let's see, this is 6 interrogation literature, and then the entire thing is whited out. The entire paragraph chunk for this section. And it says 25X1C. I think we can FOIA log request these. We might have to cut it after this one and do another live tomorrow because I don't know what it is with that throat chakra blockage, but like my throat feels raw. I've only been on this for what, like an hour and a half now, But, like, my throat feels raw reading all of this. I feel like I am, like there's especially with all the weird chat comments that were going on earlier, it feels like there's some sort of weird scalar interference going on here where, like, I don't know if it was government agencies, bots, whatever, like, they're trying to suck all my energy through my algorithm and the black screen that I'm talking to y'all on and, like, cause all the throat chakra blockages and not want me to talk about all this. But I'm gonna finish talking about these 8 pages, and then we'll see. Let's see. 7, miscellaneous. A number of items were contained in the collection of newly found materials which did not readily fit into the above categories. Among the more significant of these items are the following, and then the entire thing is again whited out and redacted, and it says that 25x1c again. And then it says, so it must have been A and B of point 7 that were redacted or whited out, because it says point C, personal papers and letters of some of the agency employees connected with Artichoke. D, an assortment of 35mm film containing snapshots and microfilm of documents. Oh, so I'm thinking they destroyed the documents, or they took pictures of the documents and then they destroyed them. The documents are reports on the chemical LSD and the psychological warfare. The snapshots appear to be typical tourist type photos and are of no apparent significance in terms of artichoke techniques. I don't buy that either. That's why would these people take tourist photos of them? That's weird. I think they were archiving them. E, inventories of drug supplies on hand in the Artichoke office at various times. F, a number of drugs and one injection device were also found in the boxes. On 22 August 1977, a representative of the agency's Office of Medical Services examined this material. A description of the material, together with the physician's comments, appears below. Makes me think, how many weird devices do they have just like laying around in the archives that they like go to look for something and they're like, what the fuck is this? And they accidentally pull the trigger and like blow something up or mind wipe themselves or whatever. Like, that's really weird. 1, automatic self-injecting device similar to that used by the military services for self-injection of atropine to counteract nerve gas. Comment, the design of the device differed from the Army's model only in the trigger mechanism, which appeared to be cruder and less reliable. 2, rhadoxin, 100 mg tablets described accurately as the whole root of Rauwolfia serpentina. Comment, this is an ethical medical preparation still used today to treat hypertension and psychotic states. 3, thorazine hydrochloride, 1 ampule, 25 milligrams. Comment, thorazine is a commonly used tranquilizer. 4, methadone, 1 packet of 8 pills, plastic sealed. Comment, methadone is a well-known stimulant drug, so they're trying to use tranquilizers and stimulants and God knows what else against people. 5, Marazine, 2 small green packets, 2 pills each, sealed in plastic. Comment, Marazine is an anti-nausea medication still in current use. 6, Daprazole. Comment, a mild analgesic, I don't know if I'm saying that right, containing a small amount of dexamphetamine barbiturate, acetyl salicylic acid, and phenacetin. I'm sorry, I'm not a pharmacist. Don't come at me if I said this wrong. It is not listed among the current drugs in use, but cannot be considered an unusual preparation. If it was removed from clinical usage, the most likely reason was because it was replaced by more effective preparations. 7, a sealed display card from the Columbia University Parkinson's Research Laboratory showing the drugs listed below. All the drugs seem to have been used for the treatment of Parkinsonism. So that makes me wonder if they were partnering with the Columbia University of Parkinson Research Laboratory and doing weird stuff, or they just stole their information to weaponize it. But given how it mentioned that you working with the University of Virginia, I think it was in the other one or earlier in the document, I think these agencies are all working together. I think they're all the bad guys and they're all working together. Yeah, maybe they're not told the full truth and they think they're doing something to help, but like, that's not a good reason. Just following orders is not a good reason. Like, we have the paper trail. Historically, all of these agencies have only used this stuff for bad. Why would you ever want to knowingly, willingly partner with them? That's stupid. And then it's got underneath this, it's got a bunch of letters, and it says A, acute cholinergic drugs used in the treatment of Parkinsonism, hyoscine, artane, Theforin pamparnate, Bella bulgara, rebellin, vinabel. B, tolserol, comment, a muscle relaxant. Don't like that. C, Benadryl, comment, an antihistamine drug used for allergies. D, Dexedrine, comment, a stimulant medication. So they're also using relaxants. Don't like that. E, two drugs listed as understudy, compound 08958 in MK-02 could not be identified. I think MKO2 is MKUltra stuff. Comment, there is no way of knowing what they contain without inquiring through the Parkinson Research Laboratory at Columbia University. It is my assumption that these were new drugs for the treatment of Parkinson's, which were understudy at that laboratory in the 1950s. So yeah, they're working with that laboratory. It's because it says they have to further inquire to learn more about it and work with them and figure it out. So all of these agencies are indeed working together. All right. I think that is where we're going to call it, because that is the very end of that last little, what is it, the fifth one that I read with y'all, the fifth document, all 24 pages that I promised I was going to read. And then we have that other one that I accidentally found that's 98 pages. That is the testimony of, what was it, Sidney Gottlieb and all his shit with MKUltra, and the Senate Select Committee to study governmental operations with respect to intelligence activities. I think I'm gonna have to do that one tomorrow, because these 24 pages just absolutely took it out of my energy and my voice and the weird interactions with the bots or CIA agents or trolls or whatever the fuck is also zapping all of my energy, scalar interference style, and really making me just feel like I need to like all my energy back and like shower all the ick off and like recharge my energy, ground myself, like center myself, calm myself down, chill the fuck out, and then get back into it so that we can do all these 98 pages together tomorrow. So we're gonna do it maybe around the same time. I'm not really sure. I will probably get up early, go to the gym, and then shower and get everything ready, and then hop on with y'all. So it'll probably be anytime between like 11 and 1 o'clock. Probably on the earlier side, since this is 98 pages and 24 pages took us 126 minutes, so a little over 2 hours to read with all of my interjections. And I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot of interjections with this one as well, because it's 98 pages and it's all very, not verily, very heavily um, intertwined with everything else I've read about and everything else I've talked about with y'all. So come see all of my other crazy shit that we get into tomorrow with this, because I think these 98 pages are going to tell us a lot. And then we're going to see after that how many more we can read. We're going to get into Project Bluebird, MKUltra. I need to just keep like a list of all the psyops I want to get into with y'all. I also want to start my Old World series where I go through, I don't think I have my books out here, but like I have an entire stack like this big of Old World books that I want to go through with y'all and start pointing out the inconsistencies in their stories that they tell us and the narratives we're fed versus how globally connected this pattern is, because I've got books from Germany, Europe, America, like it's everywhere. It's all across the entire world. And I want to show y'all the domes and the spires and the temple columns, the pillars that are Ionic and Corinthian and Doric and stuff like that. It's all to harness piezoelectricity and free energy and all that kind of shit. It is so interconnected to all of the rest of my research and everything and the frequency and energy that they've been studying and manipulating with all of the stuff I've been reading y'all. There's like 8 gajillion ways my energy wants to go bounce off, and I wish I had the energy and the vocals to just like yap for 24 hours about all this shit and just get it all out of my system. But I think we're just gonna have to keep doing it, and I'm just gonna keep releasing all these lives. We're gonna do them on live with you guys when you're up to joining with me, and then well, once the lives are downloaded, I'm going to go ahead and let them process and then edit a little bit of just like the beginning chunk out of where I was like talking to the live starting and figuring out technical issues, add a little bit of a hook at the beginning, and then just drop the whole raw thing of this whole 2 hours onto my YouTube channel itself, so that it's not just a live I have with you guys. It's something that all of y'all can go and access, and it'll be like an online archive where it's like you can go Google all of these projects yourself and read through it, or you can watch me listen to it or listen to me read through it and all of the things that I have to say about it and all of the little additions that I have to make, because it's all very interconnected. And I feel like the more we read these together, the more we're going to be able to piece these puzzle pieces together and start seeing, oh, this connects to that. And that connects to that, like I was doing with y'all and the MKULTRA and Project Bluebird and Project Artichoke to Operation Lack and Operation Sea Spray, and that weird thing where they were using the aerosolizers in suitcases and stuff like that. But like, whoo, y'all, there is so much information hidden in all of this. There are so many pages upon pages upon pages upon pages upon projects upon projects upon projects that we have, that we can read through together, that y'all can read through together, that y'all can recommend to each other in the comments and stuff like that. It never stops. It never stops, but neither do we. We're gonna expose all of it. The truth is gonna come to light because we are gonna bring it to light. Because it's out here, it's been declassified since the 1950s or so. Or sometimes the 2000s or whatever. It's been out there. It's been public knowledge. We're gonna make it even more public knowledge. We're gonna talk about it even more. We're gonna get even louder about the stuff they don't want us acknowledging and remembering. That way it loses its power on us, because if you know all your food and water is poisoned, you can choose consciously what you consume. You can say little blessings and stuff like that over it and affirmations over it and change the frequency, change the energetic charge of what you were taking into your vessel before you consume it, so that it doesn't have that baseline low frequency of, oh, and it's got a little bit of like, I love you, I'm grateful for you, thank you so much, whatever you want to say to it. So, yeah, everything is energy and frequency. Thank you guys, even the weird bot comments, for joining this. I am gonna go rest my voice, gargle some fucking salt water, and like take a nap, play a video game, make my bed, eat some food. I hope you guys had fun listening to all of this for the last 2 hours, because I know I sure did. As much fun as you can have acknowledging war crimes and weird experimentations on humanity, but you can't make it better if you don't get into the bad first and expose it and bring it all to light, so that you can make sure that doesn't happen again and you can be aware of what's ongoing. So thank you all for joining me. I am going to end this now and go take care of myself, and I hope you do the same. And I really look forward to making this a video just on my YouTube for everyone to watch. And I hope that if you weren't able to join for the whole live, you are able to watch this through to the end, because it's got some very interesting little tidbits and breadcrumbs and what have yous. And I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one tomorrow if I can figure out how to end this.